Yeah, one main street, one old church bell, one heart that found mine. Here's a little town by the river where the road runs through the pines. Everybody knows everybody, and the stars come out at night. There's a diner by the courthouse where we used to meet at 9. You'd slide into the corner booth and I pretend I wasn't watching you smile. We didn't need a fancy restaurant or a skyline full of lights, and just 2 cups of coffee and a slow walk home at night. Maybe love don't need a big city, maybe it just needs a right 2 hearts. We found love in a little town where the streets get quiet after dark, where the old porch lights are glowing and the stars shine like sparks. We didn't have much money, but we had all we needed, you and me beneath the small town sky with a love we both believed in. Yeah, we found love in a little town, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. We drive out past the county line with the radio turned low, park beside the old wheat field and watch the summer sunset glow. You'd rest your head against my shoulder while the evening breeze rolled by, and I'd think about forever underneath that endless sky. Saturday at the county fair, you wore that blue dress I loved. We rode the Ferris wheel till midnight with the whole town shining below us. When the band played our favorite song, I reached out and held your hand, and for one slow dance beneath the lights, I knew I'd found my forever. Maybe the world was moving faster, but we were never in a hurry. We found love in a little town where the streets get quiet after dark, where the old porch lights are glowing and the stars shine like sparks. We didn't have much money, but we had all we needed, you and me beneath the small town sky with a love we both believed in. Yeah, we found love in a little town, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Years have changed that old main street, the diner changed its name, the movie theater closed its doors, but our memories stayed the same. Now there's a little house outside town with a porch beneath the trees, a couple rocking chairs out front, and your hand still holding mine. Sometimes our kids ask us how we knew we'd found the one. I just smile and point outside at where our story had begun. One acoustic guitar, twangy Telecaster, guitar solo, sweet pale steel mezzanine, live a country fiddle, steady country drums. Now the years have silvered our hair, but your smile still stops me cold. And when the evening settles down, I still reach for your hand to hold. We sit beneath the porch light, watching fireflies cross the yard, and I think about that little town that gave my heart its start. Maybe we could have chased the city, maybe we could have gone somewhere new, but I wouldn't change a single mile if it didn't lead me back to you. We found love in a little town where the streets get quiet after dark, where the old porch lights are glowing and the stars shine like sparks. We didn't have much money, but we had all we needed, you and me beneath the small town sky with a love we both believed in. Well, we found love in a little town, and that love still carries on. From that old diner on Main Street to the porch we're sitting on, we found love in a little town, and I still choose you every dawn. Yeah, one little town, one old road, one lifetime. And the girl I fell in love with is still the one I'm coming home to face with. Same old road, same small town, two young hearts, and a whole life ahead. We were just two kids back then, running barefoot through the fields, chasing fireflies after sunset, learning what the world could feel. You had a ribbon in your hair, I had dirt beneath my shoes. We'd sit beside the old oak tree, talking about the things we'd do. We didn't know what love was, we just knew we liked being near. And somehow all those little days turned into all these years. Time kept moving down the road, but you were always by my side. We grew up together, through the sunshine and the rain, through the years that changed our faces, and the dreams that changed their names. We watched the seasons come and go, we learned to bend, we learned to stand, and somewhere between those younger days, you became the one who understands. Yeah, we grew up together, and I choose you all over again. We went to different schools together, shared our secrets after class. You'd laugh at all my foolish dreams, I'd swear they'd all come true someday. We saved our summer money for a truck we couldn't afford, spent our Friday nights at the county fair and danced beside the old barn door. Then life got a little harder, bills and jobs and growing pains. But when the world got heavy, you still knew how to make me smile again. We weren't always sure where we were going, but we never walked alone. We grew up together, through the sunshine and the rain, through the years that changed our faces, and the dreams that changed their names. We watched the seasons come and go, we learned to bend, we learned to stand, and somewhere between those younger days, you became the one who understands. Yeah, we grew up together, and I choose you all over again. Now there's silver in your hair and a few still see that young girl when you smile beneath the porch light. We've built a life from little moments, Sunday mornings, Friday nights, a kitchen full of laughter and children growing up inside. If I could go back to that old road where our younger footsteps ran, I'd tell those two kids beneath the oak, hold on to each other's hand. All on my clears to the top. So why did you tell her trust her? The nonchalant pedal steel guitar, gentle country fiddle, steady country drums. And now the old oak's getting wider and the farmhouse needs some paint. The road we used to race down looks a little different these days. But every mile we've traveled is a story I can tell. Every hard day, every good day, every time we wished each other well. And when I look across the table at the person sitting there, I realize the greatest journey was simply having you beside me. We grew up together through the sunshine and the rain, through the years that changed our faces and the dreams that changed their names. We watched the seasons come and go. We learned to bend, we learned to stand, and somewhere between those younger days, you became the one who understands. We grew up together, and somehow love kept growing too. Every road I ever traveled always led me back to you. Yeah, we grew up together, and I'd live every year again. From those barefoot summer evenings to the life we've built since then. Same old road, same old sky, different years, but you and I. We grew up together, and that's the story of my life. Yeah, we didn't have much, but we had each other. And sometimes that's enough. The winter came with empty pockets, and the old truck wouldn't start. The bills were stacked beside the kitchen like a mountain on our hearts. You were working late at the diner, I was taking every job I could. We weren't sure how we'd make it through, but somehow we always did. There were nights the lights went out and the house got cold and still. You pulled that old blanket over us and said we'll make it through somehow. We never promised easy roads, we only promised not to leave. tough is the kind of love that never gives up. Yeah, love that stayed through the hard times is the love I'm thankful for today. There were mornings we were tired with the weight of yesterday, but you'd smile across the kitchen and somehow brighten up the day. We watched our little dreams get smaller, then we built them back again, piece by piece and year by year, like a fence we had to mend. When the doctor bills came piling and the car broke down again, you said we'll find another way and took my trembling hand. You never needed perfect weather to believe the sun would shine. You stayed when the money ran out, stayed when the rain came down, when the world felt like it was breaking. You were the one thing I could count on. We had more than our share of hard days, and more than a few tears along the way. But love that stays when times get tough is the kind of love that never gives up. Yeah, love that stayed through the hard times is the love I'm thankful for today. Now the old truck finally runs again. The bills don't scare us like before. There's food enough upon the table and a new coat by the door. But I still remember those nights when we had almost nothing left, because that's when I learned the value of the arms around me in the dark. We didn't need a perfect life, we just needed someone true. And every storm that tried to break us only brought me closer to you. Oh, the acoustic guitar, twangy Telecaster, it's all so dark. Emotional pedal, steel guitar, gentle country fiddle, steady country drums. Now we're sitting on the front porch watching sunset paint the sky. Your hand is resting next to mine, and I still see that girl I loved. We've got a few more lines around our faces and a little silver in our hair, but every scar we've earned together reminds me how we made it here. If tomorrow brings another storm, I know exactly what I'll do. I'll pull that old chair beside you and face the darkness with you. You stayed when the money ran out, stayed when the rain came down, when the world felt like it was breaking. You were the one thing I could count on. We had more than our share of hard days, but every mile was worth the way. Your love stayed strong when life got rough and proved to me what real love does. Yeah, love that stays through the hard times is stronger than the years can never be. And if the road gets rough tomorrow, I'll still be right here with you. Because love isn't just the good days, it's choosing each other through the truth. Yeah. We didn't have much, but we never faced it alone. Through every storm, through every hard mile, you stand. And that's why I love you more. With every passing day came. Four walls don't make a home. Sometimes it takes one heart. This old house has seen some hard days. Paint is peeling by the door. There's a floorboard in the hallway that still creaks like it did before. The kitchen sink has seen some better days. The windows rattle in the rain. But when she walks in through that doorway, everything just feels okay. Leaves her coffee by the window, puts fresh flowers on the table, and somehow this old empty house feels warmer than it ever was before. I used to think her home was something you could build with wood and stone. She makes this house feel like home. With the way she says my name, she turns four walls into a place where I can leave behind the pain. When the road gets long and lonely, she's the light that leads me home. I don't care how far I've traveled when she's here, I'm not alone. Yeah, she makes this house feel like home, more than any house I've known. She knows when I've had a hard day before I ever say a word. She'll put a plate down on the table and somehow make the silence work. There's laughter in the kitchen when she's dancing while she cooks, and Sunday morning sunlight catches gold inside her eyes. She remembers all the little things that I forget from time to time. Like the way I take my coffee, or the old songs that I like. And when the world feels heavy and I've got nowhere left to run, she reminds me that tomorrow doesn't have to be like yesterday. I finally learned what home means. It isn't where the walls stand. She makes this house feel like home. With the way she says my name, she turns four walls into a place where I can leave behind the pain. When the road gets long and lonely, she's the light that leads me home. I don't care how far I've traveled when she's here. I'm not alone, yeah, she makes this house feel like home, more than any house I've known. Someday these walls might need repairing, the roof might need replacing too. The paint may fade and wood may weather like old country houses do. But as long as I can hear her laughing somewhere down that hallway, I'll have everything worth keeping at the end of every day. Because home isn't in the windows or the porch beneath the stars. It's the person waiting for you when you've been gone too long. Warm acoustic guitar, twangy Telecaster, guitar solo, emotional pedal steel guitar, gentle pertry fiddle, steady country drums. Last night I came home after midnight. Rain was falling on the roof. I opened up the front door slowly and saw her waiting there for me. She didn't ask where I'd been going, she just smiled and held me close. And in that quiet little moment, I knew exactly where I belonged. I looked around that old living room, at the pictures on the wall, at the worn out chair beside the window, and the memories down the hall. It isn't perfect, but it's ours, and that's enough for me. Because she took an ordinary house and made it somewhere I can breathe. She makes this house feel like home with the way she says my name. She turns four walls into a place where I can leave behind the pain. When the road gets long and lonely, she's the light that leads me home. I don't care how far I've traveled when she's here, I'm not alone. She makes this house feel like home with every little thing she does. She puts a little love in every room, and somehow that's enough. Yeah, she makes this house feel like home, and that's the greatest gift she's given me. She makes this house feel like home, and wherever she is, that's where home will always be. Yeah. Four walls are just four walls until somebody fills them with love. And suddenly, you're home packing. I spent a lot of nights out on the road, but there's always been one light waiting. I've chased the highway past midnight, a worn-out map beside my seat. I've slept beneath 100 different skies, let the road decide where I'd be. I've watched the sunrise from truck stops and counting miles beneath the rain. But every time the road gets quiet, I hear your voice calling my name. You never asked me for forever, you never tried to hold me down. You just left the porch light burning whenever I came back to town. I didn't understand it then, but now I finally know. You're the one who always waits for me when the road takes me too far. You're the porch light in the darkness, you're the brightest little star. When I've lost my way in the distance and the highway gets too long, you're the one who always waits for me and somehow makes me feel at home. Yeah, you're the one who always waits for me, no matter where I've gone. There were times I stayed away too long, chasing dreams I couldn't hold. I thought I needed every highway just to find out who I was. You sent a message on a Friday just to ask if I was doing fine, never asking when I'd come home, never making me explain. I know I made you wait through winters and more than one lonely spring, but you never closed the front door or stopped believing in me. Some people love you when it's easy, you loved me when I was gone. You're the one who always waits for me when the road takes me too far. You're the porch light in the darkness, you're the brightest little star. When I've lost my way in the distance and the highway gets too long, you're the one who always waits for me and somehow makes me feel at home. Yeah, you're the one who always waits for me, no matter where I've gone. Now I don't need another highway, I don't need another town. I've spent enough years searching for what was always waiting here. The road taught me how to wander, but you taught me where I belong. And every mile I ever traveled was just a longer way back home. So tonight I'll park the old truck right beneath that porch light glow. I'll walk up those familiar steps and tell you what I should have said long ago. Warm acoustic guitar, twangy Telecaster, the guitar said, emotional pedal steel the drum, Jellicosher fiddle, steady country drums. I see you standing in the doorway with that same familiar smile, and suddenly every lonely road feels worth every single mile. You don't ask about the places or the people that I knew, you just pull me close and whisper, I was waiting here for you. I hold you a little longer like I'm making up for time, and promise I won't take for granted the heart that never left mine. You're the one who always waits for me when the road takes me too far. You're the porch light in the darkness, you're the brightest little star. When I've lost my way in the distance and the highway gets too long, you're the one who always waits for me and and now I'm coming home to stay. Yeah. The truck is parked, porch lights on. The road can wait until tomorrow. I've spent my whole life moving, only to find out you were home all along.